Welcome to our PHP web course. In this class, we will start learning how to use PHP with HTML forms. I would like to go over some form basics. If you need a more extensive review of forms, please watch the supplemental video. In HTML, the form elements are enclosed between the opening and closing form tag. Inside those tags, we have a button, input type equals submit. When that button is clicked, the name value pairs are sent to the action of the form. The action of the form will be a PHP script which will process the information being sent. We are using method equals post. Here I have two text boxes. They both have a name attribute and an ID attribute. The name attribute identifies that element uniquely for the server. The ID attribute is used for JavaScript and CSS, not for PHP. So you need to have a name attribute to identify that form element. When the user enters data in that form element, or in the case of a checkbox or radio, they click that element, the name of that element is matched with the value the user entered, and that name value pair is sent to the server to be processed by the script indicated. This is how it would look. Fname equals Teresa ampersand Lname equals Pelkie, provided that Teresa Pelkie was entered in this form. We have a format, name equals value ampersand, name equals value ampersand, name equals value ampersand, etc. So every form element has a name, the user indicates a value. The value is indicated by either clicking on the radio or checkbox, clicking on a drop-down, or entering text in the text box. Those name value pairs are sent to the server when the user clicks input type equals submit. You could possibly receive a PHP error message if you try to work with data that is not being sent. Therefore, it is important to use HTML5 form validation to make sure that the user fills out the form correctly so that we can use the data being sent. You can also check these form elements using PHP. That will be covered later. In HTML, the name value pairs can be sent to the server or to the script on the server using either a get method or a post method. When we use method equals get, those name value pairs are being sent in the URL. You will see this in search engines. However, there is a maximum number of characters that can be sent. So here we see what a URL might look like with some name value pairs being appended to the URL. This is a method equals get. Method equals post, the name value pairs are sent in the body of the message so we don't see them. This is used in most form submissions, especially when you want the data to be secure. There is no limit on the data length. This is an example of the URL using a method equals post. You do not see any indication of name value pairs. PHP has several built-in variables to enable us to work with forms. We have already looked at the $_server super variable, which holds information about paths, headers, and scripts. Technically, this is an array that contains various elements. One of those elements is the request method. So here we see how we could return the request method or test for the request method if we wanted to. You may not need to do that. you can actually access the name value pairs being sent by using the $_post variable or the $_get variable. These two variables are an array of the names and values that are being sent from the form. So let's take a look at how we would use the $_post variable. Here we have the same form. We have two text boxes. Name equals fname, name equals lname. I am entering Teresa Pelkie in these two text boxes. When I hit the submit button, those two name value pairs will be sent to the PHP script. The most efficient way of working with data is to store the data in a variable. So I will create a variable to hold the value for the first name and for the last name. I can use $_post, and in brackets I can pass the value of the name attribute, fname. So $_post fname accesses that form element and returns the value. The value would be Teresa. Similarly, $_post lname accesses the text box whose name is lname, and it will return the value the user entered, which is Pelkie. Notice that we use brackets because this is an array. We will cover arrays later, however, you may be familiar with arrays. So we are storing the values returned in two variables. We can use either the print or echo statement to display those values on the web page. And here we would see Hello Teresa Pelkie. You might want to first just test to make sure that you are retrieving all your name value pairs correctly, and you can easily do this using the print_r function, passing it $_post if you're using a post, or $_get if you're using a get. Showing PHP error information on the web page is a security risk. So you do not want to do that on a finished product. However, while you are developing the application, you need to see the errors not only to learn, but to make sure that your application is working efficiently and correctly. You can use the PHP info function to see the display_error setting to determine whether your system is hiding or showing errors by default. If the errors are being hidden, you can change the settings in the configuration files. If you don't have access to them, you can also overwrite the settings on each page using the ini_set function. In PHP, as in all programming languages, there are several levels of errors. We have a notice, a warning, a parse error, which is a syntax error, and an error, which is what is called fatal. It means the application will not run. The application will run with a notice or warning. However, there could be some logical problem there. You can change the error_reporting settings in the configuration files. You can use the error_reporting function on every page to see the level of error. So at the top of each PHP page, you might want to set these two functions in order to display the errors and to see the level of error. I would like to also point out that you can send data to the server using a hyperlink. The only two ways that we can send data to the server in PHP is with a hyperlink or with a form. All you would need to do is to append a name value pair, and you can append more than one, to the end of a URL. This is commonly referred to as a query string. However, it must be accessed using a GET, since it will be shown in the URL of the browser.